You decided what product or service you want to sell. How are you going to structure your business? In this video, I'm going to discuss types of entities, the benefits of each of their structures, how complicated they are to form, and how they file taxes. At the end of the video, I'm going to give you my opinion on what I believe is the best structure for a small business. Before I get into this, I'm going to make my standard disclaimer that I'm not an attorney or an accountant and cannot give legal or financial advice in those capacities. This video is for entertainment purposes only, and it should not be construed as professional advice. I'm going to give you my opinions and thoughts as well as my own personal experiences with forming companies. One of the biggest issues I see when a business is starting to emerge and they start off on the wrong foot by picking either too simple or too complicated of a business structure. There are companies out there that will charge you an arm and a leg to form a company or even to establish an EIN. All of these things can be done by yourself once you figure out how you want your business to be structured. The first thing you want to realize is that forming an entity other than yourself, which would be a doing business as or a sole proprietor, only accomplishes one thing: liability protection. These various entity structures may protect you in the event you're sued by something that your product or service did or didn't do or directly impacted a customer. Forming a company such as an LLC or a corporation will not protect you in the default of any financial obligation that you may have. Entity formation only protects you from liability and not financial responsibility. I've heard a lot of people say, well, I want to form a company or a corporation so that way if the business goes under, they can't take my personal assets or my house. And that is completely false. There's a 99.99% chance that as a small business owner, you will sign a personal guarantee. This means that if you default on any financial responsibilities your company has, once you liquidate all of the assets the company owns, they will come after your personal assets. By no means am I trying to scare or defer you from forming an entity. This is all to protect your business. I just want to put the correct information out there so that you're not forming these companies under false pretenses. The most basic, smallest, and cheapest possible business formation there is, and potentially no paperwork, would be a DBA, or doing business as. This could be as simple as your name and what the business does. For an example, I'm going to use John Smith. John Smith is starting a carpentry company. So he's going to operate under the DBA, or doing business as, John Smith Carpentry. Because he's using his personal name, he doesn't have to file anything with the state as far as forming a company. If John Smith doesn't have any employees and he only operates strictly under his Social Security number, he will file taxes under his personal tax return, and this would be filed under a Schedule C. This structure provides absolutely no liability protection. If John Smith has a customer that cuts their finger on his custom piece of furniture, that customer can then decide to sue him, and he has no liability protection. Now, an offshoot of this would be a doing business as something other than your personal name. If you simply wanted to have a side business that sold candles online, and let's say you call it John's Candle Company, you would have to file with your state a fictitious name. This means that when filing with the state, whoever has that name knows that you're doing business with John Smith, and that that business is operated by John Smith if a customer has a complaint. This is the simplest form that you have to fill out online, at least in my state it is, and there's no filing fee. The only fees you would pay were if you have to advertise in the newspaper for a set period of time. This type of formation, again, provides no liability protection whatsoever. If you were running this business, you would have to search out liability insurance through a personal carrier in order to protect against any liability, or at least offer you some sort of protection. The next step would be a partnership. This would be where two or more individuals enter into an agreement to start a business. Fortunately or unfortunately, this can be something as simple as a handshake. Let's say we're going to start a business. At that moment, a partnership is formed, whether there's any legal documents that you have to be filed or not. So basically, if you ever have a fallout before you file any legal documentation and your product's worth is $100,000, your partner will have grounds to sue you for half of the money, kind of like a divorce. I had a business professor one time tell me the only ship that won't sail is a partnership. These are very easy to form, even without legal documentation, and they're so easy to dissolve that the downside of this is if either party in a partnership decides they want to close the partnership, even if your business is outstanding and profitable, they can choose to terminate the partnership. Each partner is jointly and separately liable for any action of the partnership. There's absolutely no liability protection whatsoever, and if someone decides to sue your business due to no fault of your own, possibly something your partner did, you are also liable. Now, this only applies to the function of the business. If either partner does something criminally outside of the business, it does not impact you. But let's say, for example, you have a partnership and your partner makes an error when dealing with a customer. They could sue you for any damages incurred. They will report any income or loss on their own personal tax returns, and these would flow into either a Schedule C or a Schedule E depending on the type of business. The next formation is the most popular, which is a limited liability company. You can have a sole member LLC, or you can have as many members as you would like. This is the next easiest one to form. It's a simple form that's filled out by the members, and you pay a nominal fee. In my state, the fee is $125 and your business is formed. As the name implies, the sole purpose of this entity is to limit liability. This would be the first entity formation type that would provide you some level of liability in the event that you would cause harm to one of your clients. You can still be sued, but this will provide you some level of protection in the case that they sue the LLC and the assets of the LLC. You could potentially be at risk, but theoretically your personal assets would be protected in this type of entity. It would probably still be a good idea to pursue some sort of liability insurance. If you create a product that potentially harms someone, it would still be good to have insurance so that your business doesn't go under due to no fault of your own. Again, no matter what legal structure you have, it still does not protect you against financial responsibility and/or criminal issues. When you choose this type of entity, you also have to choose how you will be financially responsible for taxes. My company is set up as a multi-member LLC, and we file taxes under a subchapter S. This means that any income from the business will flow directly to our personal tax returns on a Schedule E, and any income is taxed at personal tax rate for the individuals. You will pay taxes on any profit over your expenses to run that business. The percentage you pay will be based on your company setup with each member's percentage. Again, mine is 51% and my brother's is 49%. The last and most complex structure to set up is going to be a corporation. This provides the maximum amount of liability as far as a business structure. This is also the most complicated to set up and potentially the most complicated to dissolve. Corporations are thought of as their own entity. There's a famous saying that people come and go, but corporations live forever. This is also the most expensive entity to maintain. Some states require that there's an annual fee that you pay to have a corporation. In my state, you can be all of the officers of the corporation, such as president, vice president, secretary, and so on. But in some states, you have to have individual people serve as those offices. This is the most expensive to form, and there's lots of paperwork involved. This usually requires an attorney to set up. This is something you don't want to mess up from the start. When I formed my latest LLC for a different business, I accidentally chose the wrong form on the website of my state, and I formed a corporation. It has taken me 4 different applications, an extra $70, and about 3 weeks to correct the issue. And the state is still telling me it's going to take 20 to 30 days processing time just to get my business established. The biggest advantage of forming a corporation is if you intend to raise capital. That means that if you decide to sell shares of stock, not necessarily publicly, like on Wall Street, but you will be issued stock certificates and outstanding shares of stock. You could sell these to potentially anyone. Now, if someday you think that's a possibility that you would like to go public or sell shares, and you would need additional capital injection for your company to grow, then this would definitely be the viable option for you. As far as paying taxes, the corporation will pay the highest tax rate before any proceeds go to the officers. If you've heard the president talking about taxing corporations at a higher rate, this would mean you too. Whether you're Coca-Cola or John Smith, you would be taxed at whatever rate the government decides to set. Now, as far as my opinion on the best entity to form, hands down, I think the LLC is the best bang for your buck. You can start out with 3 people in your LLC, and if one of the members decides to leave, the remaining members can still run the LLC. Nothing changes. All your books stay the same. You don't have to notify the state when you change out members or anything like that. And you can even sell your LLC should you choose. As I've said before, they're easy to form, and a simple 3-page document that you file with your state, I did mine, is $125. But a bonus is if you're a veteran, you can file for free. So check with your state if you're a veteran to see if they waive the filing fee for an LLC. If you have multi-members, just know that you will have to file an additional tax return, so this could be an additional cost at the end of the year. I hope this helped you out and gave you some ideas of the different types of entities that are out there, what their purposes are, and I wish you the best on picking your type of entity. If you have any specific questions on entity types, post them in the comments below, and until next time, have a great day.